Riot Games is one of the largest and most successful video game companies in the world. With the recent successes of products like Arcane and Valorant, they must feel unstoppable. But many giant companies have succumbed to festering wounds from within. It does, however, seem like Riot understands this to some degree. So let's talk about what Riot has been doing to stay alive. Riot has been plagued with issues regarding their work culture and employee misconduct for years now, including on the executive level. A reputation for having a frat bro culture full of sexism and inequality has significantly damaged their image. This has not only prevented them from getting sponsors, but has actively discouraged the best and most creative people from working there. The issue really is systemic, and it's hard to root out the problem, but Riot Games is trying to do just that. In a recent press release, Riot CEO Nicolo Laurent makes a point of mentioning that they want to foster a more inclusive and supportive environment for everyone. Now, this is pretty standard PR these days. Every company is talking about how they want to promote diversity and inclusion, so I think it's harder than just asking people to do better, especially when it's coming from a CEO who has had sexual harassment complaints against him personally, although I'll talk more about that specifically later. Fixing a company's culture is, to be frank, extremely difficult, but perhaps all of the negative PR and litigation they've been receiving will light a fire under them, especially when they can see how hard the backlash has been to Blizzard. Check out our video comparing Riot and Blizzard for more details on that. But then again, even though Activision Blizzard is now getting bought by Microsoft, they are getting bought by them for a cool $70 billion, so maybe the lesson wasn't entirely learned. Going back to Nicolo's letter, he has a section in his statement regarding the recent litigation. For those who don't know, Riot's been facing a class action gender discrimination lawsuit filed by private plaintiffs and the state of California, stemming all the way back to November 2018. Now we're in late December 2021, Riot has settled the suit, paying out $80 million to the class, women who work or have worked at Riot Games, as well as $20 million in attorney fees. Part of the settlement, Riot has agreed for a third party to monitor HR complaints and employee compensation by gender. Honestly, the $100 million doesn't hurt Riot too significantly. They've said in the past that they can make this from a good skinline launch, and while the settlement was in the news again, at least now it's over. Hopefully this lesson and the third party monitor will continue to push the company in the right direction. Now, to be fair to Riot, they have been working to improve this for a number of years now in reaction to the famous Kotaku article. Nicolo mentions the diversity and inclusion team will redouble their efforts and hopefully it proves effective. Another big part of why culture is so difficult to fix is that it ultimately comes from the top of the company, the board and the C-level executives. Riot's CEO Nicolo Laurent has said this himself in a 2020 article. The buck stops with the CEO. Unfortunately, executives are rarely held accountable for their actions when it comes to harassment. This is starting to change, but there's still a long way to go. As I mentioned earlier, Riot CEO Nicolo Laurent faced his own harassment lawsuit, filed by a former executive assistant at the company. The lawsuit, made in January 2021, is now in arbitration. Nicolo kept his job after a third-party investigation by the law firm Seyfarth Shaw LLP found no evidence of wrongdoing. Many fans at the time criticized the decision to keep Nicolo on, but I'm not sure that it was the wrong decision. The investigation was done by actual attorneys, who could lose their license if they falsified the results. We should trust their results, and Riot's special committee followed the process that was designed several years earlier to ensure a comprehensive, independent investigation and to make a conclusion based on the evidence presented. The investigators found no evidence, so Laurent kept his job. It's as simple as that. One could argue that Nicolo should have lost his job for other reasons like the class action lawsuit, but that's not what this committee was trying to decide at this point in time. Now, I don't work at Riot, so I don't personally know what it's like, but I truly hope that Nicolo was still out there trying to produce a better environment for all of his employees, and that he's not just some secret evil mastermind behind the curtain manipulating us all. Aside from being the morally right thing to do, employee satisfaction is also just so important to the success of a company. Another way to keep them happy, aside from respecting their basic human rights, is to pay them well. Riot for some time has been known to have competitive rates and wages, as well as a super good benefits program. In this letter they talk about a very big thing. According to Nicolo, Tencent agrees with our long-term strategy, and is giving back partial ownership to the company to the Riot employees. Going forward, Rioters will have the opportunity to own a portion of the company, along with Tencent, and thus directly participate in the risks and rewards of ownership. Now, this is huge. Paying out in shares gives rioters a chance to really feel like they're working towards something aside from a salary. It really gives them the ability to not only want to succeed in their current assigned task, but thrive and do it the absolute best of their ability. It gives people a little bit more hope and a little bit more investment in the company that they work for, and that would make me personally feel a lot less just like an ant that the corporate overlords are stepping on. Another amazing thing for the employees that Nicola goes on to discuss is a program that Riot calls Q-Dodge. Q-Dodge lets anyone leave Riot within the first half a year and get their partial salary paid out. As well as this, they'll receive 3 months in healthcare benefits where applicable, and their full bonuses even if they leave before they're paid out. Q-Dodge really allows Riot to hunt for the best talent. Giving people full license to leave anytime they want ensures that nobody stays because they feel like they're stuck. People who feel like they're stuck really aren't as efficient, and they don't put out as high quality work. This program lets them leave, filtering out people who don't want to be there, allowing the people who don't want to be there to leave, and making sure that every employee really is focused on their job as opposed to looking for a new one while they slack off at their current job. It's really obviously good for people to not feel like they're stuck somewhere, and it's really obviously good for Riot to not have people there that don't want to be there. Besides having employees being comfortable and better compensated, productivity can also be boosted by cutting back red tape. Nicola believes there's a convoluted level of complexity within the Riot Games creation process. One of the first points he makes is how Riot wants to simplify that process, making the workflow quicker, clearer, so they can get back to being a player-oriented company. This entire sentiment is echoed very early on in the document. He wants Riot as an entity to spend more time working on making players happy and creating a fun experience for them as opposed to getting bogged down in the more corporate mumbo-jumbo. When he says, and I quote, "We were spending too much time focused on things other than making mind-blowing things for players." I can make some guesses as to what specifically he means, but it's hard to say with any real certainty. The real meat of what he's saying here is that there's a clear shift in viewpoint within the company back towards a user-focused model, or at least that's where they want to get to. Really, at the end of the day, that right there is an amazing statement. With some of the other messaging that Riot has been putting out lately, I don't think it's just smoke they're blowing, and I really do think they want to make an attempt to focus more on the user experience again, just like the company used to back in its early days. We've already begun to see this, with Riot removing Chemtech Dragon due to community backlash. According to Nicola, in the early days of the company, they internally organized themselves by the art, design, and production departments respectively. A good way to explain the difference between these departments is the art dictates what the product should look like, the design dictates what the product should act like, and the production puts that all together into what the product actually does. As the company grew with new titles and a growing esports scene, this form of organization started to fall into shambles. They began to organize by product, like League, esports, Arcane, and Valorant. Nicolo makes a point to say as part of their 5-year plan to revamp the company, they want to fully transition into this product organization model. In his vision, the fundamental areas of this model is what he calls pillars. The 3 product-focused pillars are games, esports, and entertainment. The other 2 pillars are publishing and enterprise. I'm sure you guys can guess what games, esports, and entertainment are, but publishing and enterprise are a little bit more ephemeral. The idea is that the enterprise pillar is the branch that supports Riot as a whole, which is led by the president of Riot. The publishing pillar is meant to deliver consistency across different products and support the 3 product pillars on a global scale, and this pillar along with the 3 product pillars will be led by their own presidents and teams. The fundamental idea of a product-based organization structure and why this is good for a business is that you have to assign your employees into self-contained divisions according to the type of product or service they provide. This structure gives the company the ability to meet deliverable deadlines easier and allows them to really understand and measure the performance of their different divisions, as well as having those divisions have a clear understanding of the leadership that the company follows. I think that this organizational change and a focus on really grinding down the tangled web that was Riot's organizational skills will help them to keep on track internally, putting things out and working on things that will end up on our PCs. It also helps cut down the complexity and workflow by helping them understand who they work for. A point that Nicola made in this post is that there were some issues of unclear ownership. Now, collaboration is really good. We actually made a video on the benefits of collaboration and how Riot is going about doing it here, and Nicolo is seeing that too. In this letter, he specifies 2 main types of collaboration. Internal Riot collaborations, where it's focused on a Riot product promoting another Riot product, and external collaborations where they work with another company to symbiotically promote both. Nicolo mentions that they didn't have the proper processes to facilitate fast collaborations, and that's something they're looking at revamping to really be able to pump out content faster. faster. Collaborations are really important to growing a brand, whether it's people like the KDA singers making a song for their company, or a more complex mixture where they have Fortiche help them develop a TV series, and then have Imagine Dragons make a song and cameo in that TV series to help promote it. Collabs are super healthy and important to the longevity of that product. And I really do hope to see more of this type of thing, whether it be cross-product promotions or cross-company promotions. I mean, I personally really liked a lot of the Riot music. I liked Arcane a lot, I liked the Riot Forge games a lot, and I just think it's a really fun idea. It allows them to put out more stuff so I can stick within the Riot ecosystem. All in all, I think that this letter is mostly good, and I think it's helping keep them on the right track to saving their company as opposed to going down a slippery slope like we saw with Blizzard. I think that they have a lot of interesting ideas, and Nicolo touches on a lot of sensitive points that the community has taken issue with. I also think the idea of expanding collaboratively, as well as just expanding their products, is really cool, and I really can't wait to see how big Riot can get, not only as a gaming company, but as an entertainment brand that dabbles in music and film too. You really can't take everything a CEO says at face value, however, and time will have to tell how this all really plays out, especially with the inclusivity stuff. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, as we're still a really tiny channel, but we really want to grow, so let us know what we can do to make better videos, and I'll see you all next time.